In this video, we will implement the HTTP methods using Axios library. I'm creating a component with the name HTTP requests one.js. Alright, so before we start, we need to know that we have to install the Axios library. npm I Axios. So we will wait till this gets installed. We will also look at the package.json. So we are able to have the Axios in package.json. So it's installed. We can start the server again. Okay, so the first thing we require is we are going to use useState, use effect, and also import the Axios library from Axios from Axios. Okay, and we need to set the state variable as users, set users, useState. So as you know, we are going to use the fake REST API JSON placeholder where we have the data in the form of an array of objects. So the initial state will be an empty array. And after this, we need to use Axios.get. So whatever the method we need to use, that method will come here. Axios.get, and we need to paste the URL from where we are going to fetch the data. So we have pasted the data, the link from where the data is supposed to be fetched. Axios returns a promise .then that accepts a callback having a parameter, let's say response, and changes the state using the set users where we have to print the response object containing the data property. Also, we need to handle error using catch that accepts a callback having the error parameter, and we can print the error in the console as error. But this is not enough. We also have to use the useEffect hook where we have to pass the callback function, and all this functionality will be placed inside the useEffect with an empty dependency. Now we have to print the list of users using the JSX. We will use the unordered list and use the users variable, use map functionality that accepts a callback containing a single item as the parameter. I'm considering it as a user. Use the list tag in order to print the items. Also define the key equals to JSX user.id, user.id, and user.name. Also, if you want, you can fetch the city where the user is residing, and this is a part of the address property. So we can have a look at the browser. Before that, we need to render our component as HTTP requests 1. Let's have a look on the browser now. We are able to fetch the data from the JSON placeholder. So as you can see that all this is the data that we are receiving from JSON placeholder. All right. So imagine that now you want to fetch one particular data. Let's say I want to fetch only the user whose ID is 1. For that, you need to mention the ID 1 and you need to remove this map functionality. So let's remove this. Use the JSX. So if this user, I'm going to change this to user and set user. So if this user exists, then it should be printed. If the user does not exist, then there can be a message. We need a paragraph that the user does not exist. Okay, so we are now going to specify the data here in the div tag. We need to use the paragraph tags or maybe any other tag like heading tag. So we can specify the ID of the user that will be fetched as user.id, and we need the name of the user.name. We also need the email, user.email. So we can check the browser. Okay, set users is not defined. We have to change this to set user. We will reload. So we are able to fetch one particular user from the fake REST API, that is this user. Let's now implement the post functionality where the user will be able to insert the data. But as discussed in the previous video where we utilized fetch API, we noticed that we could only generate a message that the data has been inserted. But otherwise the data will not be inserted because it's a fake REST API. But we are going to try it. So for this we need to make a few changes. First of all, we need the response message that we need to generate after the data is inserted. Response message and set response message equals to the initial state will be an empty string. Initial state will be an empty string. Then we also need a variable for generating error if the user could not be inserted, and the function to change the state of the error is set error, again whose initial state will be an empty string. Right, and now we also require one fake data that is supposed to be inserted. We will create an object as described in the previous lecture as well. We will create a new user data object where we will specify the name, let's say dummy name, and I'll just go with the email, dummy email @gmail.com. So this will be our data that we want to insert. Now in Axios.get, we have to use post method because now we want to insert the data. And also mention the second parameter, that is the data which we want to insert. And we also are required to change this to set response message user created successfully, while the error will be set to an empty string. Same way in the catch function, where you are going to handle the error will be set to failed to create user, while the response message will be an empty string. Right. Let's come to the JSX part. And here, let's say I'm going to create one heading, h2 create user. So we have this variable, that is the response message, that should be printed. So if the response message exists, so in that case we should be able to apply the red color to this response message. Style equals to object, its color should be green, and print the response message here. And in case if the response message does not exist, means if it is null, then don't apply any color. Same way we can go for the error message. If the error exists, then give it style inside the object. Inside the JSX, put the object as color red, generate the error, print the error here. If the error does not exist, then do not apply any color. This should be printed inside the JSX. Okay, let's take a look on the browser. We get, I'm going to reload. You get here user created successfully. Now let's implement the put functionality for updating the data. So first of all, we require the ID of the user for which the data should be updated. So for example, I'm taking one right now, and I'm simply going to change the name of this object to updated user data. And the same data, same object will be passed here as the second parameter. Instead of post, you need to use the put method. Change the messages to user updated successfully and failed to update user. Okay, so now we can check on the browser. We are able to get the result as user updated successfully. So we can also change this heading to update user instead. Okay, so well, that doesn't going to be much difference. So we are able to implement the put functionality as well. Now let's proceed with the delete functionality. Now since the data is only required to be deleted, we don't require any existing data. We only require the ID. So I'm going to delete this second parameter, mention the method as the delete method. change the messages to user deleted successfully, failed to delete user, change your text to delete user. Check the result on the browser. You are able to get user deleted successfully. This is all for this video. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos.